Hello everyone, I am Anupama Labhi and I am here to take your subject business law, and today's topic of discussion is contract of agency. Before discussing the contract of agency, we should know what is the meaning of agent and what is the meaning of principal. So let us see the definition of agent and the principal. An agent is a person employed to do any act for another in dealings with third party, or you may say the person. And the person for whom such act is done or who is represented is called the principal. Let us take example. A is a person who is appointed by P. P appoints A. Why he is appointing A? To perform some act on his behalf. On behalf of P, A is performing some acts. What acts he is performing? He is contracting with C. He entered into a contract with C. Look here, P appoints A for performing the acts. That's why P is known as the principal. He is appointed A to act on his behalf. That's why he is delegating his authority to enter into a contract with third party. That's why A is known as the agent. And who is C? C is the party with whom B is entering into a contract. Instead of directly entering into a contract with C, what P is doing? P is doing this act with A. That means A act as a mediator between P and C. So, A is known as the agent. But even though he is acting on behalf of P, the liability rests with the P. You cannot held liable for the acts for which he has getting the permission from P. P is responsible. Let us see. A sell the car. What he is selling? He is selling car to C, for which he has the authority from P to sell the car for, you may say, for rupees 1 lakh rupees. Okay? A is selling the car on behalf of P. Afterwards, that means after purchasing the car, C found that there is some defect in a car. So he reached the A and demanded compensation. But he will not pay the compensation because he sold this car or he sold this car on the directions of the P. So any compensation which C demands from A will not be paid by A but by P himself. Is it clear? P has the ultimate liability. Ultimate liability. He cannot shift his liability to A because A performed the act for P. So, what are the general rules of agency? The general rules of agency are whatever a person competent to contract. P is competent to sell his own car. But what he is doing? He is selling his car with the help of A. He appointed A as his agent to sell the car to C. So, whatever a person competent to contract may do by himself, he may do through an agent. Here, he can himself sell the car, but he is doing this through this person who is known as the agent. This is the general rule of agency. And what is the second one? He who does through another does by himself. That means even though he is selling the car through A, but it is assumed that who is selling the car? P is selling the car. So in any case, you cannot hold responsible or you cannot hold responsible A for any type of contracts which are entered between the agent and the third party. Is it clear? Yes, I think it will be quite clear to you. Come on, next one. Who may employ an agent? Who can appoint the agent? That means who has the authority? Only the person who appoints the agent is known as principal. So, what is the competency of a principal? He must be a major person. That means he must reach the age of majority. He must be of sound mind. points which we had discussed in our contract act, the same points applicable here. He must not be a drunken person when he was entering into a contract. These are some basic competency, or you may the essential qualities which must be possessed by the principal. If these qualities are possessed by that particular person, then you may say that that person can employ an agent. That means the principal must possess this quality. And what qualities must be possessed by an agent? There are no such qualifications stipulated for becoming an agent. You can appoint any person, whether he may be a minor, whether he may be a lunatic person, he may be of unsound mind, anyway, कोई भी, कैसा भी, you can appoint him as an agent. But as we already discussed, the liability rests with the principal. If I want to appoint a minor for performing some work, and the minor do not act according to directions which I have given to him, and you face a lot of loss, or you may incur losses, even though you cannot recover this from the minor. But instead of appointing a minor, if you had appointed a major person, then that losses will be borne by that person who has not acted according to your directions. That is the basic difference between appointing the agent as a minor one or the major one. Let us take an example. If I have given an instructions to sell particular goods for rupees 10,000 rupees, and that person sell it for 5,000 rupees, and I entered into a contract with him that I will pay him 10% commission. For how much I am saying that you must sell those goods for 10,000 rupees. Let us see. This person is a minor and this person is a major. What type of instructions were provided by you? You said that you cannot sell the goods below rupees 10,000. And what here these two persons are doing? A is a minor. He is selling the goods for 5,000 rupees. And he collected the 5,000 rupees from that person, and he collected 10%. What is the 10% of 5,000? 500. And he remitted only 4,500 to the principal, you may say the P. And here also, he, the person, that means we say this person as B, is a major one. And he, as same way as the minor had done, he also sold those goods for rupees 5,000 rupees. But here, he can held liable this major person for getting more 5,000. That means he can recover total 10,000 rupees from this person B, who is of majority. He do not have to incur the losses of 5,000 rupees, and he will blame, or he will sue this person, that means agent B, for full amount 10,000. But in this case, when the person, that means appointed person, is of minor, is of age of minority, you cannot recover the losses which you had incurred because of the acts of that minor person. Is it clear? Then no consideration is required. What is the unique characteristics of this contract of agency? In other contracts we had seen, you may take the contract act. Under contract act, what is important? There must be a consideration. In sale of goods act, there must be consideration. But in a contract of agency, there is no requirement of consideration. What is consideration? Something in return. For explaining this point, I am again giving you the example. P, the principal, appoints A, an agent. There is a written agreement between these two persons that A will act as an agent for P. What do you think? P must pay something to A for acting as agent for P, or you may say A must pay something to P for becoming an agent of P. Isn't it so? But here there is no requirement of any type of commission. When the commission will be payable, or you may say the consideration. All of you know that agent gets, whatever agent is getting from the principal is known as the commission. When, for example, if A acted on behalf of P, for example, again he sold the car for ₹1 lakh, and according to the agreement between P and A, if anything which is done by A, he will be entitled to get the commission. But at the time of formation of this agreement, A or P are not getting any type of consideration. He will get the commission of say 1,000 rupees. When he is getting this commission? When he sold the car, when he sell the car of A. So, at the time of forming, there is no requirement of consideration. But in other types of contract, at the time of formation of the contract, the consideration must be present. Then let us discuss the different types of agents or different kinds of agents. But before going to this kinds of agent, we revise again what is the definition of agent and who may and who can be the agent. Okay, let us see. Who is agent? Agent is a person who is appointed for carrying any activity or carrying some act on behalf of some other person. The other person is known as the principal, and on whose direction this person is acting is known as the agent. Then what are the general rules? The general rules are, whatever a person competent to contract may do by himself or may do through an agent. I am capable of performing my own acts, or I am capable of entering into a contract. But instead of entering into a contract myself, what I am doing, I am appointing someone to enter into a contract on my behalf. That is the first rule of agency. And he who does through another does by himself. That means, what is assumed? Whatever the person, that means to whom I appointed for performing that for me, is doing will be considered as done by me. Is it? Then who may employ an agent? Who can employ an agent? Employ an agent means appoint. You may say, who can appoint an agent? Any person. Any person. Any person means you may say the minor or a lunatic or unsound mind. Can they appoint the agent? In contract act, what we had discussed, if you want to enter into a contract, you must possess some essential qualifications. Essential qualifications. And these are, if these are possessed by the person, then we say that person is disqualified from entering into a contract. चलो एक बार मैं कह रही हूँ, if there is a contract between two persons, both the person must be competent to enter into a contract. And what I am saying, who may be an agent? Here I am saying that minor can be an agent, lunatic can be an agent, or you may say the drunken person may be an agent. How it is possible? In contract of agency, what we are saying, there is a contract between the principal and agent. That means agent must possess those qualities which are possessed by the principal. But here I am saying that no, there is no need to possess the qualities by this person to become an agent. Why I am saying this? Because there is actually no contract between the principal and the agent, but there is a contract between the principal and the third person. What he is doing, what is the role of agent? The role of agent is just a mediator between the principal and the third person, and that's why the qualities which must be possessed by a person or a party to enter into contract is not compulsory for the agent to have. Is it clear? Because principal, what agent is doing? Agent is just a mediator or a link between the principal and the third person. There is a contract between this principal and the third person. He is not contracting with the third person, or he has no contract with the principal, but he is just a mediator or a link between the principal and third person. That's why the agent, there is no need for the agent to possess the essential qualities for entering into a contract. And the next one is no consideration is required. Why? And consideration is not required. Again, what is the role of principal and agent? They are not actually entering into a contract. Who is entering into a contract? The third party and the principal are entering into a contract, and there is a consideration. What consideration? You may say A is selling the goods to this third party, you may say the C, for rupees 50,000. So what is the consideration? For C, goods are consideration, and for A, rupees 50,000 are consideration. So there is no need of consideration in contract of agency. Okay? Shall we discuss these kinds of agents? Do we have the time? Yes, I think we have that much time to discuss the kinds of agent. The first one is general agent. What do you mean by general agent? That means the agent who is appointed for carrying out the general activities which may be done by the principal. General activities means what? In the, for example, you may take the manager, example of manager. Manager performs all those work which is necessary for carrying out the activity. He is not restricted for performing some particular work, and that's why we may say that manager is a general agent. What is second one is special agent. As the name indicates, who is special agent? Special agent is a person who is appointed for carrying a special contract or a special act. This act is carried for one time only. Okay, one time means for selling the house. For example, if I want to sell one of my property, and for that purpose I appointed a person, then that person is known as special agent. Why he is known as special agent? Because the agency comes to an end at the time when he sell my house. So that type of agent is known as special agent. He is acting for me as an agent for performing a single act. Performing single act. Then the agency comes to an end. That's why such agents are known as special agents. Then universal agents. Who are universal agents? These are the agents. There is no limit for their activity or their acts. They can do anything which a principal can do for himself. But that objects must be a legal one. For legally, what the principal is capable to do are done by this agent, and that's why he is known as universal agent. Then what is the difference between the general agent and the universal agent? The general agent, for example, again we take the manager. Manager of ABC Limited Company. He is allowed to do all the acts for this particular company only. Okay? And that's why he is known as the general agent. But if this principal is having XYZ company, then your LMN company, then all the activities, or for he has some property, That means this person is also deals with his property other than the company and all the other work for which he is appointed by the principal, then such a type of agent is known as universal agent. Is it clear? Then there are some another types of agents, for example factor, then the commission agent, then the del credit agent, and then the broker. Who is factor? Factor is appointed for performing the mercantile acts. That means purchasing and selling the goods on behalf of the principal. Who is commission agent? A person who is getting the commission for performing his act. You may say the LIC agent. Then who is del creditor agent? Del creditor agent is an agent who instead of, that means in addition, you may say that in addition to act as an agent for principal, he gives surety to the principal on behalf of the purchaser. For example, P is a principal appoints A agent to sell goods to C, that means the customer. If he sold the goods for rupees 5 lakhs to customer on behalf of P, what A is doing here? A is assuring the P of this 5 lakh rupees. That means the amount of goods which he had sold to C on credit, he gives guarantee on behalf of the customer to P that if he will not pay that much amount, he will pay on behalf of C. For this, he gets additional commission. Additional commission. And such a type of agents are known as del creditor agent. And who is broker? Let's take the example of stockbroker. Stockbroking companies. What they are getting? I say that the agents get the commission, but here the broker gets brokerage. Instead of commission, that the amount which he is getting from his principal is known as the brokerage and not the commission. For example, I appointed ABC stockbroking company as my agent for purchasing and selling shares on my behalf. Then whenever this ABC stockbroking company purchases or sell shares on my behalf, they are getting something from me, and that is known as the brokerage. Is it clear? I think yes. If you have any difficulty, you can call me, or you can send your doubts in our link, or you may say to your group and get your doubts clear for me. Okay, thank you.